The galaxy had been at peace for centuries. The once feared wars and battles between different species had faded into history. But something new was coming, something unknown, and no one could prepare for it. For months, rumors had spread across the stars. At first, they seemed like nothing more than whispers in the dark corners of space stories of a massive warship built by humanity. At first, the galaxy dismissed it. Humanity was known for their tenacity, but no one took their warships seriously. They had been quiet for years, keeping to their corner of the galaxy, hidden behind the safety of their homeworld, Earth. No one expected this new development then. The reports started flooding in. The warship was real. It wasn't just any warship. It was the Titan class, a vessel so large, so powerful, it could shift the balance of the galaxy. It wasn't just a new weapon, it was a statement. Humanity was coming. The Titan-class warship was built in secret. No one had seen it until it was ready. Its design was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, sleek, massive, and covered in advanced technology that no one had ever encountered. Its hull was strong enough to withstand the fiercest of attacks. Its weapons powerful enough to destroy entire fleets. Its engines faster than anything the galaxy had ever imagined. For the first time, the galaxy was afraid. News spread quickly, and within days, all the major factions were in a state of alert. The peaceful species, who had long thought themselves safe from humanity's reach, were now questioning everything. Would humanity invade? Would they attack? Factions gathered in their secret council chambers, debating what to do. Some of the older, more powerful species suggested preparing for war. Others believed that humanity was still weak and couldn't possibly pose a real threat. But everyone agreed on one thing. Humanity's arrival was coming, and no one knew what it meant. The Titan-class warship's first appearance was on the edge of the Alpha Sector, far from any populated worlds. It didn't engage with anyone. It simply hovered there, waiting. The mere presence of the ship was enough to send ripples of fear through the galaxy. It was a silent challenge to everyone who looked upon it. The first communications came from the human captain of the Titan-class warship. He spoke clearly, with authority in his voice, but the message was simple. Humanity was here, and they had come to claim their place in the galaxy. The captain said, "We have arrived. We seek peace, but we are prepared for war if necessary." Number one knew what to make of it. Some called it a bluff. Others saw it as a threat. The galaxy's leaders immediately called a council meeting. The Council of the Galactic Federations had representatives from every major species. They were the governing body of the galaxy, responsible for maintaining peace and order. But now, for the first time in centuries, they were divided. A species known for their strength in battle, argued that the Titan-class warship was a direct threat. "We cannot allow them to get too close," their leader said. "If they are allowed to grow, they will become too powerful. We must strike." First, the Elvery, known for their wisdom and diplomacy, disagreed. "We must listen to them. They say they seek peace, but we cannot make that decision until we know more. We cannot act on fear alone." The Carathians, a peaceful race of scientists, suggested that they send an emissary to speak with humanity. They believed that a direct conversation would be the best way to avoid conflict. But there was one problem. No one trusted humanity's sudden rise. It didn't make sense. How could a species that had once been on the brink of destruction suddenly build such a powerful weapon? Meanwhile, on the Titan-class warship, the human crew was preparing for what came next. They knew the galaxy was watching. They knew they had to tread carefully, but their mission was clear. They had to show the galaxy that humanity had come to stay. They had to show that they were not the weak species they once were. The captain of the ship, Commander Lucas Cole, stood on the bridge, staring at the stars in front of him. "We will make our mark," he said quietly to his officers. "We will show them that humanity is not to be underestimated." Commander Cole's eyes narrowed as he stared at the star maps. The crew of the Titan-class warship was well trained, but there was still a sense of uncertainty. They knew the galaxy could react in many ways, some peaceful, some hostile, but they were prepared for both. Back on the homeworld of Earth, the news was already spreading. People were watching their televisions, looking up at the stars. They knew what was happening. Humanity was stepping into a new chapter. No longer would they be ignored or underestimated. They were ready for the challenges ahead, but as the warship moved closer to the edge of known space, a strange feeling spread across the galaxy. It wasn't just fear. It was the fear of the unknown. What if humanity was stronger than anyone realized? What if the warship was just the beginning? What would the galaxy do when the strongest power it had ever known arrived, demanding a place among the stars? As the Titan-class warship advanced, the galaxy held its breath, uncertain of what would come next. The silence that had followed the arrival of humanity's Titan-class warship was deafening. For days, no one moved, no one spoke. Every species in the galaxy had waited, uncertain of what would come next. It was as if the very stars themselves had paused in anticipation. Then, the first official contact was made. A message was broadcast across the galaxy, its transmission clear and crisp. The words echoed in every major civilization's council chambers, in every crowded marketplace, and in the quiet corners of ships. The message came from the captain of the Titan-class warship, Commander Lucas Cole. His voice, calm yet commanding, filled the void of space with a promise that would change everything. "We are humanity. We come in peace. We do not seek conquest, but we will defend our place in the galaxy with everything we have." The response was instant. Across the galaxy, the leaders of the Federation scrambled to react. They couldn't ignore the power behind the message, nor the weaponized might of the Titan-class warship. For the first time in centuries, the united galactic leadership felt a stirring of fear. Humanity, the species once viewed as primitive and insignificant, now held the attention of every powerful faction in the galaxy. The Telseri, known for their strength in battle, were quick to voice their distrust. How can we trust them? One ship, a declaration, and suddenly they demand respect. "This is a threat, not an invitation for peace," said their high commander. The Telseris forces had long been the guardians of order in the galaxy. To them, the rise of humanity was nothing less than a challenge to their long-held dominance. But not everyone felt that way. The Elberi, ancient beings of wisdom and diplomacy, took a more cautious approach. They gathered their finest emissaries, ready to send a delegation to humanity's warship in an attempt to open dialogue. The Elveri believed that peace could be forged, but it would require patience and understanding. Yet, even they were unsure of what awaited them in this strange new era. The Carathians, a species of brilliant scientists, were also divided. Some suggested sending a fleet to examine the warship's technology. Others called for a full investigation into humanity's military history. The galaxy had long thought of humanity as a species bound by primitive instincts, but now the sight of such a powerful warship forced them to reconsider everything they had known. On the Titan-class warship, Commander Cole stood at the ship's massive viewing window, gazing at the vast expanse of space. His thoughts were focused, determined. The crew had been given orders: prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. The ship had powerful weapons, enough to destroy entire fleets, but Cole knew that force was not the answer unless absolutely necessary. His mission was clear. Humanity had earned its place in the galaxy, and he would ensure they kept it. "We cannot afford mistakes," Cole said to his officers. "The galaxy is watching, and we have one chance to make our presence known. The first move is ours." The crew nodded in unison, but there was a sense of unease among them. They had trained for this moment, but no one truly knew how the galaxy would react to their arrival. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, the first official emissary from the Elvery arrived at the Titan-class warship. The Elvery had long been known as the keepers of peace, and their words were often considered the final word in diplomatic matters. Their fleet approached the Titan-class warship with caution, the sleek, peaceful ships contrasting sharply against the looming mass of humanity's warship. The meeting was set for the next day. The galaxy's eyes were on humanity and the Elvery. The question on everyone's mind: would peace be possible, or would this meeting ignite a new era of war? As the hours ticked down, the tension only grew. The emissary, an Elvery named Kalanor, prepared his people for what might come. His species had witnessed countless encounters with unknown civilizations, but none had felt so precarious. Kalanor's heart raced with uncertainty. Humanity had not proven itself yet, and while the words spoken by the humans were peaceful, their warship suggested a hidden power that might be impossible to control. On the Titan-class warship, Commander Cole and his team were ready. The communications officer signaled to him, "Commander, the Elvery emissary has arrived. They're requesting an audience." Cole took a deep breath. The moment had arrived. He could feel the weight of the galaxy's eyes upon him. This meeting would determine whether humanity would be seen as a new ally or as a dangerous force to be reckoned with. With a steady hand, he nodded, "Open the channels. Let's make history." As the screen came to life, the Elvery emissary appeared. Kalanor's face was calm, though his eyes betrayed the anxiety that lingered just beneath the surface. The moment they locked eyes, the entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. "Humanity," Kalanor began, his voice smooth but guarded. "We come in peace, as you have claimed. But peace is not easily given, nor is it easily earned. We wish to understand your intentions. We must know whether your ship is a symbol of hope or a harbinger of war." Commander Cole met his gaze without flinching. "Our ship is a symbol of humanity's future, a future where we seek cooperation, not domination. We are not here to destroy. We are here to build something greater." The conversation continued, with both sides carefully choosing their words. Tension hung in the air, but, for the first time, a spark of hope flickered between them. The meeting was far from over, but in that moment, the possibility of peace seemed just within reach. As the Elvery emissary made his way back to his ship, the weight of the conversation lingered in his mind. Humanity's message was clear, but the uncertainty remained. Could they truly be trusted? The Titan-class warship was a symbol of unimaginable power, yet Commander Cole's calm demeanor made it impossible to know what the humans were truly after. Was their approach one of peace, or was it the calm before a storm? News of the meeting spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Every faction, large or small, had their own interpretation of what had transpired. Some saw humanity as a new hope, a species that could challenge the old order of the galaxy. Others saw them as an unpredictable force, dangerous and filled with ambition. Every leader, every military strategist, was analyzing the outcome, searching for cracks in the human story, something they could use to their advantage. The stakes were higher than anyone could have predicted. Back on Earth, Commander Cole stood before the massive windows of the Titan class, Warship's command bridge, gazing at the stars. His crew moved about the bridge, preparing for what was to come. The galaxy had not yet fully understood what humanity was capable of, but they would soon learn. Cole's mission was about more than just first contact. It was about making a lasting impact. Humanity had been silent for far too long, and it was time to show the universe what they were truly made of. "We've made it this far," Cole said, turning to his officers. "Now we need to show them we can lead, not just fight. But be ready, because peace doesn't come easy." His second-in-command, Lieutenant Erica Grant, stood at the controls, her eyes focused on the screens. "Commander, we've received a transmission from the Galactic Council. They want to meet." A chill ran through Cole. The Galactic Council was the governing body of the galaxy, a coalition of the most powerful species, and it had never before been called into action over a single warship. The council members were some of the most influential and dangerous beings in the galaxy. The fact that they were summoning humanity meant that the time for diplomacy was quickly running out. "Patch it through," Cole said, his voice steady, but filled with anticipation. The screen flickered, and soon the image of the council's leader appeared. The council leader, an imposing figure from the race known as the Svan, looked down at the camera, his 4 glowing eyes piercing through the screen. The Svan were the galaxy's oldest and most respected species, known for their wisdom and immense power. Their leader, Thorkor, spoke with the gravitas of someone who had seen civilizations rise and fall. "Commander Cole," Thorkor's voice rumbled, deep and authoritative, "you have made quite an impression with your arrival. But understand, this peace is not something that can be freely given, and trust is not granted easily. The galaxy is not yours to command. What is your true intention?" The weight of the moment hung heavy in the air. This wasn't just a simple meeting. It was humanity's first test on the galactic stage, and failure was not an option. Cole remained calm, knowing that any hint of uncertainty would be seen as weakness. Leader Thorkor Cole responded, his voice firm. "Humanity has no desire for war. We've come to offer a chance at unity, but we will not be overlooked. We are here to protect our future, and if we are forced into conflict, we will defend ourselves with everything we have." There was a long silence as Thorkor regarded him. The pressure of his gaze felt even through the screen. The Svan leader was no stranger to conflict, and the resolve in Cole's words did not go unnoticed. "We shall see, Commander," Thorkor said, before cutting the transmission abruptly. The room fell silent. The crew exchanged nervous glances. They had done their best to present humanity as peaceful, but the Council's response was a clear indication that peace was not going to be easily achieved. "Do you think they believe us?" Lieutenant Grant asked, her voice low. Cole paused, then turned to her with a grim smile. "It doesn't matter if they believe us. What matters is what they do next. The galaxy is watching us now, and we have only one choice. Show them that humanity will not be pushed around." As the transmission ended, Commander Cole looked to his officers. The Council's warning had been made clear. Humanity would have to prove itself, and if they failed, they would face the consequences. Meanwhile, Across the galaxy, the leaders of other species were preparing for their own responses. The Telsari were gathering their warships, preparing for a possible confrontation. The Carathians had begun analyzing the Titan-class warship's technology in secret, and the Elvery were divided, unsure whether they should continue with diplomacy or take a more cautious stance. But one thing was certain: the galaxy had changed. Humanity had thrown the first stone, and now the galaxy's most powerful factions were forced to respond. Some would choose peace, others would choose war, but none could ignore humanity's presence. The time for diplomacy was running out, and as the Titan-class warship moved deeper into uncharted space, the galaxy's future seemed to hang in the balance. The tension in the galaxy was palpable. The news of humanity's arrival and their confrontation with the Galactic Council spread to every corner of space. Some saw it as the beginning of a new era, a chance for new alliances and a chance for the lesser-known species to rise alongside humanity. Others saw it as the start of something far darker, a spark that could ignite the flames of war. Commander Lucas Cole stood on the bridge of the Titan-class warship, the vast expanse of space stretching out before him. The warship, now fully operational, was a symbol of humanity's power and determination. Yet, with that power came responsibility. The weight of the galaxy's uncertainty pressed heavily on Cole's shoulders. "We've made our mark," he muttered to himself, staring at the stars. "But now, we must prepare for what comes next." His second-in-command, Lieutenant Erica Grant, approached him with a grave expression. "Commander, we've intercepted messages from the Telsari. They're mobilizing their fleets. We're not sure if it's for peace talks or for war, but they are moving." The Telsari had long been seen as one of the galaxy's most powerful factions, known for their strength in battle and their military prowess. If they chose war, humanity would face a force unlike any they had ever encountered. Cole nodded grimly, his eyes narrowing. "We need to be ready. Make sure the crew is prepared for whatever comes next." But as he spoke, a new transmission came through, not from the Telsari, but from an unexpected source. The Elvery, the peaceful species, had always advocated for diplomacy and negotiation, but now their voice seemed filled with urgency and concern. The transmission appeared on the command bridge's screen. Kalanor, the Elvery emissary, appeared once again. This time, his face was not calm and measured, but filled with worry. "Commander Cole, we have been watching your interactions with the Council and the other factions. The Telsari are preparing to strike, and we fear that the galaxy's other forces will follow suit. The fear you've instilled in them is turning into hatred. The path to peace is closing quickly, and war is becoming inevitable." Cole's heart sank. The Elvery, with their deep understanding of the galaxy's politics, had never been this concerned. The idea of war was too terrible to even consider, but now it seemed like a very real possibility. "What do you suggest?" Cole asked, his voice steady, though his thoughts raced. "We must act quickly to defuse the situation," Kalina replied. "I have already contacted several other factions who are willing to negotiate, but the Telsari must be stopped before they make the first move. If you can get to them before they strike, we might still have a chance to avoid a loud conflict." Cole thought for a moment, his mind spinning. The possibility of war loomed large, but there was still a chance. A small window of opportunity. "We will do what we can," he said, his voice firm. "But if the Telsari strike first, we'll have no choice but to defend ourselves." As the transmission ended, Cole turned to his crew, his mind already working through the various strategies and options they had. Prepare for an immediate course change. Set a trajectory toward the Telsari fleet. We need to make sure they understand that humanity will not back down. The crew scrambled to make the necessary adjustments. They all understood what was at stake. This was no longer just about first contact or establishing peace. This was about survival. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Telsari were preparing for their attack. Their fleets, massive and powerful, were already mobilizing, their ships cutting through space at incredible speeds. Their leader, General Jacques, was known for his unyielding resolve in battle. He had seen what humanity was capable of. Their Titan-class warship was too much of a threat to ignore. "The galaxy has changed," Jacques said, his voice filled with resolve. "We cannot allow humanity to rise unchecked. Their challenge must be met with force. Prepare the fleets. We move at dawn." It was clear that the Telsari had made up their minds. Peace was no longer an option. They would strike first, hoping to crush humanity's burgeoning power before it could take root. The stage was set. The galaxy was on the brink of war, and humanity's response would determine the fate of countless civilizations. As the Titan-class warship moved toward the Telsari fleet, Commander Cole's thoughts were focused. He knew that the galaxy was watching, waiting to see what humanity would do. Would they stand their ground and defend themselves? Or would they show the galaxy a different way, one of strength, but not violence? There was no time to waste. The next few hours would shape the future of the galaxy. The first steps toward a potential war were already in motion. But perhaps, just perhaps, humanity could find a way to stop it before it started. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Asterisk. The calm before the storm had passed. Now, the galaxy stood on the precipice of an all-out conflict. Humanity's Titan-class warship moved through space, a symbol of their newfound power, but it was also a reminder of the looming dangers. Tension hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Time was running out, and the next move could either save the galaxy or destroy it. Commander Lucas Cole stood before the viewports of the bridge, staring at the approaching Telsari fleet. They were massive, their ships forming a wall of steel and firepower. But the Telsari had mobilized their forces, and now the two fleets were on a direct collision course. The countdown to war had begun, but Cole wasn't ready to give up on peace just yet. "Commander," Lieutenant Grant said, her voice breaking through the silence, "we've made contact with the Telsari. They're demanding that we surrender or face immediate attack. Their fleet is waiting for us to make a move." Cole's eyes narrowed as he took in the situation. The Telsari were not bluffing. Their words had been a declaration, and their weapons were ready to strike. But humanity was not going to back down. He had come this far, and he would not let fear or intimidation drive humanity into submission. "We are not backing down," Cole said, his voice cold and determined. "Prepare our weapons, but we will not fire first. We will give them one final chance to reconsider." The crew moved quickly, preparing for a confrontation that they all knew was inevitable. The Titan-class warships' massive weapon systems were locked and ready. Cole's mind raced with countless strategies, but he knew one thing for certain. If the Telsari fired first, they would retaliate with the full force of humanity's might. But he wasn't sure if that would be enough to cross the galaxy. Word had spread. Every faction, large and small, was watching. The Elvari, the Carathians, even the smaller, more neutral species, had turned their attention to this moment. Some hoped for peace, others prepared for war. But one thing was certain, Humanity's arrival had shaken the very foundations of galactic politics. As the two fleets drew closer, Cole made one final attempt for diplomacy. "Send them a message," he instructed. "Tell them we do not seek war. Tell them we are willing to negotiate one final time before the situation escalates." The message was sent, the words resonating through the void of space. "This is Commander Lucas Cole of the Titan-class warship. We are not here to destroy. We are here to secure a place in the galaxy for humanity. We offer peace, but we will not be destroyed. Stand down, and we can work together for the future." The silence that followed was deafening. For what felt like an eternity, there was no response. The Telsari fleet continued to advance, their weapons trained on the human warship. The galaxy held its collective breath, unsure of what would happen next. Would the Telsari respond to humanity's plea? Or would they strike, initiating the war that could change the galaxy forever? Then, a transmission came through this time, not from the Telsari leader, but from an unexpected source. The Elvery had intervened. "Commander Cole, we've convinced the Telsari to pause their attack. They are willing to listen, but only if you meet with them face to face. A meeting of leaders, with no weapons, no agendas, only words." Cole's heart skipped a beat. The Elvery had managed to do what seemed impossible, buy them time. This was humanity's chance, but it was fragile. One wrong move could shatter everything. "We will accept the meeting," Cole said. "Prepare the transport ships. We'll meet them on neutral ground." As the transport ships were readied, the tension reached its peak. The entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath as the two opposing forces, humanity and the Telsari, prepared to meet. This was not just a meeting, it was a final chance for peace. On the surface of a small, uninhabited moon, a neutral zone had been established. Both fleets hovered in space, the silence thick between them. The meeting would take place in a grand hall built specifically for such occasions. The hall was ancient, designed to facilitate talks between the galaxy's greatest powers. Now, it would serve as the backdrop for the most crucial conversation humanity had ever had. Commander Cole stood before his crew one last time before stepping into the unknown. "Whatever happens, we must remember why we're here," he said. "We are not just fighting for humanity's survival, we're fighting for the galaxy's future. If we can find common ground, we can change everything. But we cannot let fear guide us." With those words, Cole stepped into the transport ship, surrounded by his officers. The atmosphere was tense, every second dragging as they moved toward the moon. No one knew what would happen at the meeting, but every person aboard the ship understood the gravity of the situation. This was the moment when the fate of the galaxy would be decided. The transport ship landed softly on the surface of the moon. The Grand Hall awaited them, a symbol of hope and uncertainty. As the doors opened and Commander Cole stepped forward, he saw the Telsari leader, General Xhaka, waiting. The two leaders locked eyes. This was at the moment that would determine the future. "Commander Cole," General Xhaka said, his voice cold but not without respect, "we meet at last. Let us see if your words are as strong as your warship." Cole nodded, his voice steady. "I hope our words will be enough to change the course of history." The doors to the Grand Hall closed behind them, and the fate of the galaxy rested in their hands.